time that I can knock. Let's just say I hit 15 doors Saturday and 15 doors on Sunday. Like, how long does it take you to get up to that point where you actually get a deal? Only working 2 days a week. Like just think about that. Like, if we're talking about 10 weekends, because we're knocking 30 a weekend, we're talking 10 weekends, right? And that's why I say that. And another thing about it, and I'll let Jesse chime in here if he's got something to say on this subject matter. But the other thing about it is this: if you go out and you door knock, you don't even have to know anything about real estate. You don't need to know anything about foreclosures. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you can just be a person who sets appointments, and you can JV with me or Caroline or anybody else that deals with foreclosures. We love these leads. We love to have these conversations. And the easiest way to learn and the easiest way to get a deal is by partnering with somebody else on the deal. When I first got started in real estate, period, my first deal was actually a fix and flip that I got myself. I fell into it by happenstance. My second deal was from a memorandum of contract, but that idea came from my mentor. My third deal, my mentor literally got on the phone with me and closed the deal. There's a local mentor to Memphis. I got the first seller. It was a divorce situation and a foreclosure. I got the first seller like there, and it was a laydown because she had been in foreclosure 3 times, and her husband was living in the house, and he didn't want to pay the mortgage. Like, he was a POS. Like, bro, you're living there, pay the mortgage, right? That's my opinion. But anyways, she was like, I'm trying to get this amount of money from my house. And I was like, I don't think I can pay that. I was so green at like negotiating and all that. And she was like, you know what? Fine. I don't care if I get anything. I just want it off my name. I brought this house out of foreclosure 3 times. I'm tired of it. But when it came down to him, he was challenging. So I just got my mentor on the phone, and he closed the guy. Not only that, we got on a Zoom. He wrote up the contract. I saw him write up the contract. Not only that, he put me on the email chain with the title company. And so you can go out and literally know nothing about real estate and go up to somebody that's in foreclosure and say, hey, like, I know you're in a really tough situation, and I know a couple of people that can help you out. I just want to be a resource for you. Like, literally just treat somebody like a person and go up to them and put somebody who deals with foreclosures in a really ethical way in contact with them. I do that all the time. I will jump on the phone with anybody's person that's in foreclosure if you can schedule it out. I don't mind it. And I'll have that conversation. And not only that, after I get off the call, I'll break down what I did on the call and why I did that. Right. So, like, when it comes down to foreclosures and door knocking, I'm telling you, it is 1000% the fastest way to get a deal. That's my opinion.
It makes sense. And you guys work, you'll do that with anybody pretty much anywhere around the country?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I always tell people this, like, you know, when it comes down to handing out resources and different things like that, it's a godsend to do that. But I do a lot here in my county in Memphis. And so, like, it's really hard for me to, like, I can't be a charity. Right. And so, you know, I'll jump on the phone with you. I don't mind jumping on the phone with your homeowner, but for me to be able to help them, they have to have equity. But if for that initial call, I don't mind jumping on the phone with people, you know, and I'll point them in the right direction. Bring me some leads. I don't mind it. You can DM me. My Instagram handle is @GregClark901, and I don't mind, and I'll talk you through it. Like, learn while you earn. You know, I'll split the deals with people.
Yeah, it's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse, you got anything to like add to any of that?
Well, one, I think what you laid out and what you described is right on the money. I think it's perfect, man. I think that's what everybody needed to hear. I know Roland certainly did. You know, you want to hear the best door knocking book I've ever read? Write this one down, guys. I'm going to give you guys, this is the best. You guys want to go learn how to knock doors as good as Greg Clark? This is the best door knocking for real estate investors book that I've ever read. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Have you read that, Roland?
Truly.
It's very dog-eared on my bookshelf. Absolutely have.
That was just
Crack it back open, man. Take some notes. There's some really, really great things in there that just serve as reminders, ways to position yourselves. just a great reminder for how people think. Most people, when they introduce themselves to somebody else, I think this is a problem most investors make, is they talk about themselves the entire time. Like Greg says, they go on a pitch fest.
So
They talk to a seller and they start telling them all the ways that they're going to solve their problem and how they're going to do this and why they should do business with them and why they should do business with them over the 10,000 other people that they've reached out to.
Mm-hmm.
When really, if you want to make an impact, if you really want people to listen to you and to look at you differently, if you want to position yourself, it's right in line with what Greg said. Greg doesn't talk. What makes Greg so great is he does not talk. Imagine that, guys. Greg is such a fantastic freaking salesman and entrepreneur. Not because he talks, though, but because he listens.
It's about the right questions, huh?
Absolutely. Greg, would you say the majority of your conversation is probably all question format in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, for sure. In the beginning, I have to say some things to establish my credibility
For sure.
of who I am. There's certain things that you can say and or mention where you're having a conversation initially to let that person know that you are the authority in that space, that you know what you're talking about. And that works out really well because you do have to ask a lot of personal questions, going into it, like how much money do you make, or, how far are you behind on your mortgage? I feel like, a lot of people shy away from those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so to ask those with confidence or have the rapport already built with the seller. So when you ask that question, they're not pulling back on like, well, that's kind of personal. Like I wouldn't tell you that, especially if it's a cold interaction. Like you have to establish yourself and have those conversations up front. But yeah, it's a lot of questions. I'll tell you another quick story. I'm full of stories. I talk to a lot of people that are in foreclosure on a daily basis. I have a property that I own right now, and this lady, she actually called me. It was from a paid lead. It wasn't a door knock or anything like that. But she was about to go into foreclosure again for the third time, I believe, or was it second time? It was the second or third. It was the third time. She had been accelerated twice, which means she got an auction date. They hired a substitute trustee. And she was about to go up to auction. But she pulled herself out of it. Like she lost her job. She wouldn't take out loans and did all these things and pulled herself out of it. But she was literally, I want to say, like when she first contacted me, a month out from getting accelerated again. Like she had already got the notice of default and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And when she reached out, of course, like when you do paid leads, you reach out to a lot of investors, right? Like that's what she did. And I kind of felt that on the phone with her. And I said, hey, can you just do me a favor? It's like, I don't mind coming over. I really want to come by and meet you. Right. And I said, just do me a favor. Just make me the last investor that you talk to. Just make me the last person. I just want to be the last person. And most people are afraid to say that. But like all you need is a little story to go with the thing that you asked them to do. And so I said, I just want to be the last investor that speaks to you. And I'm going to tell you why. I had this guy, and this is a true story. This is a guy that lives right around the corner from me. I ended up talking to this guy about selling his house. I talked to this dude for like 9 months. This lead came from somebody who DM'd me. They lived in Oregon, and I was going to help them get their first deal. So they were marketing in Memphis, yada, yada, yada. I talked to this guy for 9 months. I heard about everything this guy went through with his divorce. There's a little pub or bar up the street. I've heard about all of his sexcapades with like the different women that were up there, like just like literally conversating with this guy for 9 months. And, he never would come off of his number of what he wanted to sell his house for. Well, finally I got fed up with it. Like this guy's wasted a lot of my time. Right. I've been over there. I've seen the house. It's literally like 2 blocks that way. Mm-hmm. All right. And so like I'm having this conversation with this guy and he goes, so look, it's coming down to the wire. I got to make a decision. Like, what are you willing to pay? And I'm literally in the driveway, like washing my truck. And so I'm fed up with this guy. And I say, hey, look, I'll pay you $139 for the house. He goes, $139. Great. He says, send me the agreement. I said, perfect. So I stopped what I was doing, wet hands and all, went and dried them off, pulled up DocuSign, drew up the agreement, sent it to him. He opened it and I never heard from that guy again. Now, it's usually not that dramatic when I tell people that story, but this is what I told her. I said, I looked at it a couple months later and the house had sold. And do you know what the house sold for? The house sold for $140,000, $1,000 more than what I offered him. I talked to this guy for 9 months. He could have at least gave me the common decency of like, hey, can you match or beat this? And I tell people from that, I just like to be the last investor you talk to because like my time is valuable. And she says, no problem. So I go over and I sit down and I talk to this lady. And when I talk to her, when I go in, she's first off, when I walk in, she immediately tries to show me the house. She says, hey, I'm such and such, and I shake her hand and I tell her I'm Greg. And she's like, okay, cool. Let me show you around. And I said, no. And she said, I said, I don't really care about the house. And she was like, I thought that's why you're here. She was like, I said, I don't do business with houses. I do business with people. I was like, I'd like to get to know you and see what's going on with you and see if I can help you. So we sat down on the couch and we talked for like an hour and a half. Her husband came out, the kids came out, the whole deal. Right. But it's not about the house. But like in that conversation with her, I ended up finding out that she took out those loans. I ended up finding out that she, lost her job and then got another job. And that's how she got behind. Like she took out like a title loan, super expensive. I found out that she wants to move in with her in-laws that live in St. Louis. And that was her plan, to sell her house and get that, get the proceeds so they can go put down a down payment on another house with the in-laws, and they're all going to live together. Right. Mm-hmm. That I found out she had some financial issues with like budgeting. I also found out that she didn't want her kids to be uprooted from school. So she was just going to find another house to like rent in the area for the next year and use her proceeds to pay for that until they go up to St. Louis next year. Okay, cool. And so like still not even looking at the house, I got up and I said, all right, well, it's nice talking to you guys. I'm going to see what I can do. But I said, what if, not saying that I can, I said, what if I could buy the house? So you had all these other investors come over, right? She said, yes. It's like, what they offer you? Like, what was your highest offer? She goes, 160. And I was like, okay. I was like, what if, and I'm not saying that I can, but like, what if I can buy it for 160? But I only buy it, maybe like, I can put you in an apartment for like a month or two, like come in here and like renovate it and then just let you guys move back in here and let you guys rent it for me for the next year until you're ready to go. And she was like, you'll do that? I said, that's what you told me you wanted. I was like, I don't know if I can do it or not, but I'll try. I'll try my best. And she goes, wow, that's amazing. And so I walk to my truck and she goes and talks to her husband. And then as I'm getting in my truck, she comes out the door and she runs around the truck and she was like, me and my husband only want to work with you. And I was like, wow. I was like, I didn't even really give her an offer. I just gave her a what if scenario. And I was like, wow, like I'm flattered. She was like, you're the only person that treated us like humans. Everybody else just cared about the house. You do business with people, not products. That's gold. So like when it comes down to me, there's a point where I talk, but there's a lot of asking and information gathering in those moments. So yeah, I listen a lot because I was able to reiterate back to her what she truly wanted, which no other investor took the time to realize that.
Dude, I love that.
Makes sense. You take your notepad and you're taking notes while she's talking.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't even, sometimes I'll do that. I'll take notes while I'm sitting there. Like if we're talking numbers and different things like that. But a lot of times, like what I'll do is I'll just sit there and listen. I mean, because a lot of times, like it's therapy. It's a lot of problem solving. Like right there on the, I sat down with a lady. This was about a month ago, and we were trying to come up with a solution because she got approved for a loan modification, but like her loan mod payment was going to be like $2,500 a month. And I just sat there with her, and I was like, so I think like your two best options, honestly, your two best options is either A, call another family member and or a friend and see if they need to downsize so they can be your roommate, somebody around the same age, because they can help you come in and make that payment. Or we can look at possibly selling the house to save your credit and see if we can get you a decent amount of money. Because I don't know for sure, but I can probably guess you'll get anywhere from like $15,000 to like $25,000 in cash in your pocket. Like those are the two best options. Right. But like who's going to sit down and tell them to like find a roommate, a person who's trying to actually help somebody out? If I call her name's Gloria, if I call her right now, she'll answer the phone. She'll be like, hey, Greg, you know why? Because I told her to go find a roommate. You know what she did? She went and found a roommate. She was like, I never would have thought of that. Have you not sat down and talked to me? Amazing. Do you think she will jump on the phone with anybody that I'm having a problem, like knocking down those barriers of like, we don't know if this guy is a good guy or decent guy or not? No, I could call her up right now. She's like, this guy's the truth. Like, I thought everybody, this is what she told me. She was like, I don't know who to trust. When I sat down on her couch, she was like, I've been talked to by everybody. She was like, I don't know who to trust. I said, I'll shoot you straight. Here's me. Here's my story. Here I am. I'll shoot you straight. Tell me where you are. Nobody told her, why don't you see if you can go find a roommate? Why don't you just house hack this thing? Why don't you just be a real estate investor and rent this room out, girl? You know, it was dope. And who knows what'll happen in the next couple of years, but I guarantee if she runs into a situation where she has to sell the house, she'll call me. Yeah. So Roland, you got anything else for us, man?
I think I'm good. I got lots of notes. I'm just getting back from a vacation, clearing my mind, and getting started with hopefully another good team, and
I love
see
it,
how
man.
it goes.
Here's my suggestion for everybody that's on here. If you're thinking about quitting your job, do not quit your job. Like what you do is you do this business on the side and you stack cash, and you have this cash flow that's coming from your W-2 job, like clockwork. Like you can count on it. You can count on it coming in like clockwork, and you use this to take care of all your expenses and all your normal stuff. And then when you get these $17,000 to $25,000 to $30,000 deals, because they're coming. My first actual deal was like a $4,500 deal. And I was like, bro, where are the big ones at? Right? Like, oh, they're coming. They're coming. It just takes time. But once you get these deals, first off, you got to pay taxes. Let me throw that out there. Unless you're buying and taking down these properties, you got to pay taxes for one. So put your tax money up. Ran into that trap. But then also, you have money on the side that you won't touch, that you could roll back into other deals or use to invest or use to grow your personal development. Personal development is key. Being in the right rooms are key. Being around the Jesse Stantons of the world, right? The Caroline Kangs, these really like high energetic people that I hang around with and I conversate with, and I have them on speed dial. You know, these are people that you need to be around. And so you put that cash up and you don't touch it. And the biggest problem is if you quit your job, what's going to happen is you're going to start living off of that cash too, right? And it's going to dwindle. So heed my warning. I'm telling you, having a W-2 is perfect. You can go out and knock 5 to 10 doors when you get off work. I don't know your schedule. In the morning, somebody asked me the other day, when's the best time to knock? I said, when you could get in your car and drive. That's what I said. They said, well, the weekends and stuff. Yeah, I can sit there and tell you that the weekends are better. I can sit there and tell you the weekends are better because more people are home and off work. I can tell you the evenings are better because most people are home and off work. But like most people make excuses of why they can't knock because it's not those times. You know, when I knock in the mornings, bro, I'm trying to get the rest of my day. I'm going out biking with my wife as soon as she gets off work. I ain't got time to be going out all the times of the evening and night. No, I'm getting it done early, baby. Let's go ahead and knock those 15 doors out in like 9 to 11, 9 to 12. Let's get it done. We'll have some conversations in the afternoon, and I'm gonna have dinner and spend time with my wife later on that day. And yeah, I'll get some callbacks, but my wife understands what I do. But I'm not away from the home, you know, when it happens, unless I got to grind. So I'm gonna leave you with that. We got Christine backstage. Roland, I appreciate you. Appreciate you popping up.
Hey, keep on rolling.
Rolling. Thanks, brothers. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's getting value from this live today.
Oh, this is phenomenal, bro. This is awesome. Thank you.
Christine.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
We can. How are you?
Can.
I'm good. Thank you so much for the information. I feel like this came right on time. One, because I started door knocking again and I'm leaving notes and I wasn't sure if I'm writing the right thing on the note. So thank you for simplifying that.
Yeah,
I do have a bit of a situation. So I was able to talk with a seller today, or homeowner. So what I did was, I try to call first, and then if they don't answer or any of the numbers that I have for them don't work, then I make it a point to go door knock and leave a note on their door. Mm-hmm. And so this guy actually, as I was about to walk out the door to go to his house, he actually had called me back. And so he's in a bit of a situation, and I'm not sure how to navigate this. He's facing foreclosure May 16th. And he is having a battle right now with the loan servicer company. So he says that his mortgage was sold to another company without his knowledge. And he was making the payments, and then he tries to make the payments and they don't accept them because they're like, you don't have a loan here. So that's how he ended up in foreclosure. His problem is that his home, the deed is in his trust. So he set up a living trust. So he feels like there's so many things that the loan company is violating because of how he has it set up. And he feels like they're trying to get over. The most important thing to him is he had the home set up and put in a trust because he wanted to pass it to his kids.
Right.
So that's his pain point and why he's fighting so hard. And he says he does, have he's done a lot of research. He's typed up paperwork, stuff like this to try to fight it. But I guess at this point, I'm just not sure if this is something like I want to help. I don't know how, because I've never dealt with a trustee. I don't even, I'm not sure if most of the information he's giving me is legit,
Yeah. And so like
I just follow up and hope everything goes okay.
Yeah, I mean, so like it gets a little, sometimes it gets like really, really like icky and convoluted or whatnot, but it's good that you got a decent amount of information from the guy. The biggest problem with it is like, what is he trying to accomplish? Is he trying to keep the house? That's what most people are trying to do, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. He wanted to keep the house because he wanted to pass it to his kids.
And so this is what I do when people are trying to keep the house. It's like, okay, cool. So he's talking about the amount of money he's behind. Does he have the money to pay it up? That's number one. Does he have the money?
Well, we didn't get to that part because the main thing he was focused on was fighting this because they're violating his rights by selling the loan.
Well, sure. So I would have started like, I'm just thinking like if it were me in that conversation, I would have asked the guy right off the bat, like, do you have the money to pay it up? Okay, if you have the money to pay it up, I know there's not a deal for me there. For one, if he actually physically has the money. Like I ask people that all the time, and I have no shame in my game. I ask them, it's like, okay, so option number one is a reinstatement. That is the number one thing that'll stop an auction. It's just pay the money that you're behind. Order a reinstatement quote. So like, do you have the money to pay it up? If the guy goes yes, okay, cool. Like now you have to make a decision. Do you want to like continue to help the guy just by like adding value and doing something for free? Now here's how I like look at that. Most people sit there and go, well, I'm not a charity. And I'm not. Like I'm a for-profit guy. I have to feed my family. But when I first started out and I was new, I would do a lot of things for free. And I didn't look at it as me doing things for free. I looked at it as me learning. Right. So like I would call the banquet people and I would figure out like how to get POAs and all this stuff signed or figure out what the bank needed. I would do a lot of stuff and like I didn't make money from these deals. But like this guy is like, if he's like put yourself in problem solving mode. Like if he has the money, okay, then he's got another problem. Well, the mortgage company's not accepting his payments or something like that. So it might be legal. And so like, what if you got this guy in touch with a litigation attorney, right? Like what if you set this guy up with somebody who could litigate on his behalf or like do an upfront litigation with like no retainer fee. Right. And they just take something of like whatever proceeds or if you sue or whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is like, I'm figuring out how to add value to that person, but am I doing that for free? Because you'll probably gain a contact that you could also pass off to somebody else. Right. Like, so I have a bankruptcy attorney that I just refer business to now. Right. And the first time I talked to him, most of the people want to file bankruptcy. First time I talked to this guy, this is what he told me. He said, I'll help out with anybody that needs like a last minute filing or whatever. I deal with these situations all the time. And I said, okay, I got you. The next day I sent him a lead. This lady I talked to, she's like, yeah, I think I want to keep my home. I want to file bankruptcy. It was like, I respect your decision. It was like, I got this really nice guy that I know. And so he ended up like texting me. He said, yeah, I set up an appointment with a girl you sent me today. You know what he told me? He tells me that like anytime I come across anybody who wants needs to sell because like their bankruptcy is dismissed or something like that, I'm going to send them to you. And so if you sit there and think about like, well, I'm doing free work for this person, and I'm not telling you to do free work. I'm just telling you how like my thought process works, especially in the beginning, is like I would just like yeah, I was just thinking. Sorry, Jesse had to jump. I think he had some kids or something like that. We love you, Jesse, but the main thing is like how can you help this guy? And if you think it's going to be a waste of time, then brief conversation and then move on to the next deal. And that's another thing that helped me out a lot when I first started off as well. Is like I was so fast to go into these doors. Like it, and honestly, I door knocked for 6 months, didn't get a deal, but I was door knocking through the pandemic. Like that's when I started door knocking when COVID was going on and nobody was getting foreclosed on. But like I would like pull the list and just go out and immediately do it. And when I'm saying like I'm fast to the doors, what I'm saying is like where most people are like, oh, I'm just gonna go out and knock like 5 doors. When I first started knocking doors, I was knocking like 30 doors a day.
Oh wow.
I was knocking 30. I was up from sun up to sundown. Oh, like, baby, I have dinner when I make it home. I gotta get this money, right? And so, like I was up there from sun up to sundown, and like, it took me forever to get a deal. Like, I got one deal the first 30 days, and I didn't get another deal until like the next year because it was in September when I got that deal, and I had to wait for the moratorium to get lifted. But like all that was just me sharpening the axe the entire time. And everybody says like I'm door knock king and I'm like dope, bro. I'm just like everybody else. It's just like I understand the method to the madness. Like it's straight up a numbers game.
Yeah.
And, like I had a conversation with a guy on the Zoom this morning. And he goes, "Well, I've been knocking like 15 doors and blah blah blah." And he told me, and I had a previous conversation with him. A really nice guy. I love the guy to death, but he was telling me that I'm knocked all these doors. I'm just like, bro, there's no way. Like just off of notes on doors, I put out 234 notes, and I had somebody call back the note immediately and just said, "I want to sell." So if you hit enough doors, you'll just come across somebody who just, hey, I just want to sell. It's a numbers game.
With that, my last question. So the foreclosure list that I have right now, it has 37 homes on it. So what other type of list would you suggest door knocking if
you said 37 homes? Like where are you at? Where you located at?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
What's the population?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I know it's a lot.
You said Indianapolis?
Yeah.
So I would look up the population to Indianapolis, right? And honestly, like, so we only have, I want to say 600,000 people here. Mm-hmm. And so if you only see 37 on there, you're not getting your data from the correct source. Like, where do you pull your data from?
Right. So this data is those homes that actually have an auction date scheduled. So I haven't pulled anything like those who just went into default or anything like that. These are just the amount of homes that have an auction date scheduled within the next month. And
right.
I get the information actually from Michael, niche data.
Okay, you get it from niche data?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's 37 homes that are scheduled for auction May 16th. That's our next auction.
Okay. So like I'm gonna implore you to like give you a little bit of homework. So you might want to take some notes. Okay. All right. Okay. This is what I tell you to do. You're going to either or do both, DM me and Caroline to get a list of foreclosures. And this is other places, but we have a lot of data. But with that, you can make calls. All right. Another thing I'm gonna tell you to do for you door knocking in your area, what you need to do. So like niche is cool. Here's the problem with niche. You'll get it the next day. And the other problem with niche is a lot of times they rely on the investors that are in the program to show them how to pull the foreclosure data. Right. So like you having 37, I guarantee you there's got to be more than 37 if your population is really high. So what like you need to look at for yourself possibly is going to foreclosure attorney websites and looking at the auctions on their websites. And like you're gonna have to do some detective work now. Detective work is trying to figure out like who the foreclosure attorney is. And I'll try to drop some gold for you guys if you guys don't know how to find a foreclosure attorney. If anybody understands like the laws of their state when it comes down to foreclosures, like they have like most of the time they have to post them publicly, and it's always a law, right? Like in Georgia, they have to post it like 4 weeks in the paper, right? Whatever the local publication is where they do the legal notices, they have to post it, and they have to state legally why they're foreclosing on this person, right? Like it was a mortgage or a deed of trust at this date, and they defaulted on it. Like we have to state why these people are getting foreclosed on. Well, if you do this, And you go find these postings on there, and I'll pull this up so you guys can see. There's a little screen share. Entire screen. There we go. All right, so like right here, and I don't want them to take this down, so let's see if I can hide the address a little bit, but like right down here at the bottom, you see a trustee. This is the trustee's office right here that's foreclosing on that person. All right, so like if you find these postings, you know, with these different like, you know, addresses and different things like that on there that are up for foreclosure, there's gonna be an attorney on there somewhere, and these attorneys have sites, and they have the information on the properties they're going to sell, and so that might, you know, help you get more of them. Of course, you can check the publications themselves because they have to post them there before they foreclose on them.
Okay.
You know, it's funny down here, like in my county, like I could pull the public posting, and when I pull the public posting, I've made it to the door before the certified mail has made it there before. As a matter of fact, I have a property that closed on like a month ago, and they're actually moving up to Nashville next week. When I knocked on their door, I made it there before the letter did. They didn't even know they had an auction date. Oh, they knew they were buying on a mortgage, but they didn't know they had an auction date.
Yeah.
And so that was gold. So hopefully that's beneficial. That helps you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me today on this live, and I appreciate everybody let me stand in for Caroline. I know I'm not as good looking as her, and she has way more hair than I do, but I hope everybody got value. So I didn't see a lot of questions in the side chat, but yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on today, and I'm out. Hit me up, Instagram, Greg Clark 901. DM me. I'll jump on the phone with your sellers. Peace out, y'all.